Hey friends, so I have been meaning to make this video for a while because this is an interesting subject that I think we can all identify with. Most of us have, at some point in our lives, settled for less or different than what we actually want or need. We do it with jobs, we do it with relationships, we do it with so many things that I would need to make a whole other video to list them all. The thing is that most of the time we know that settling is not the right choice. We know we shouldn't do it, but we do it anyway. We put our standards to the side even though we know it's not going to make us happy. We accept what's available and convenient versus what we want. We make choices that we know are not right for us, and even though we admonish ourselves the whole time we're making them, we throw all that out the window anyway. Then, when regret comes along later, which it almost always does, we can't help but be mad at ourselves because we knew better, but we failed to do better. So, all of this really does beg the question, why? Why do we do this? Why do we so often just take what's there, knowing full well it's not what we want? Most people probably think that the answer is simple. Sometimes when we settle, we do it for a sure thing, which we justify as having something is better than having nothing, right? And in some cases, that's actually true. Having, say, an umbrella that only covers half of you in a rainstorm is definitely better than not having one at all. Having half a pumpkin pie is better than not having any pumpkin pie, right? But when it comes to more important things like life choices, like friends or romantic relationships, well, that's not so true, is it? Surely you have heard the phrase, "You are better off alone than in bad company." This is something that we all know, right? It's not new information. And when we see other people in bad company, we can often spot it immediately and sometimes even flat out ask them, "What are you doing? Why are you settling for less than you want? You know that you deserve better than that." This is especially true when it's someone that you really care about and that you don't want to see get hurt by doing this settling. So, yeah. While we tend to be pretty good about asking other people, we rarely ask ourselves this question. And we really should, shouldn't we? I mean, in that group of people that you really care about and don't want to see get hurt, shouldn't we be in there? Shouldn't we be on that list? Of course we should. And that is the purpose of this video. But before we talk about how we can stop ourselves from putting ourselves in situations that only bring unhappiness and regret, let's start at the beginning, and that is to figure out why we do this kind of stuff in the first place. I'll go ahead and spoil this for you by saying this. Most of the time when we settle for something, it's because of insecurity. Because we don't feel like we deserve good things or the things that we want. That isn't true, of course. Everyone deserves to be happy and fulfilled and have a life they genuinely enjoy living. But it doesn't stop us from thinking this anyway, either, because we beat ourselves up over mistakes or people who have told us throughout the course of our life that we aren't something enough. And look, let me say this right now before we get further. I am not speaking about something that I do not know about firsthand, trust me. I have struggled with this a lot in my own life, and I still do from time to time. I have not believed in myself plenty and went an easier direction when I knew I was going to kick myself later for doing it. I've been rejected for things both personal and otherwise, and let that color my self-perception and confidence. I have taken people's opinions about who I am as a person, even when they had no idea what they were talking about and were dead wrong, and let that shake my sense of self. And I've taken things that were probably positive because they were paired with some kind of rejection, I immediately saw them as negative when they weren't. A couple things that immediately comes to mind is being told I was too nice, and this is a different one, that I was too adulty and put together. I literally laughed out loud at that one because, really? I am not always the adultiest adult. Ask anyone who knows me. And put together is pretty funny too, because while I like to think that that is me most of the time, in reality, I'm just figuring things out as I go, just like you and everyone else. I want to mention this because it's something that you hear sometimes in interpersonal relationships in some form, and it's this specifically that I want to point out. It is something that you really need to pay attention to. When someone tells you that they are not good enough for you, or some variation of that, such as, I'm an a-hole, you deserve better, or you're too good for me. Hold up. Please, please, please listen to them. That is a gigantic one of these. Sometimes when people say this in jest or whatever, that's fine, but the majority of the time, they are telling on themselves. They are pulling up the curtain a little bit to show you that they are a problematic individual, and you're going to find out real soon what those problems are. Or they are telling you that they know that they fall short in some way, whether it be in their level in life, or how much effort they really want to put into a relationship with you, or how they truly feel about you, period. And when they say things like this, they are basically telling you that they have no intention of changing or trying to meet you where you are. I wish that point was something we learned without having to go through it, without having it happen to us, because damn, it's a hard lesson. But you will want to blame yourself for not seeing the signs sooner or what have you. But the signs were probably there. Hell, they just read one to you by saying something like that. But here's how this ties into the next point, because it's a prime example of settling for less than we deserve. One of the biggest reasons that we disregard statements like that or other red flags is because in our insecurity, we have not only convinced ourselves that we don't deserve good things, but we've also convinced ourselves that we just cannot get them. We think we cannot do better. So we tell ourselves things like, well, I really hate this job, and I feel like I could be doing so much more with my life, but I don't want to try to find something better because what if I can't? Or, I know that this person I'm with, this isn't a good match. They don't make me happy. They don't even treat me well or respect me. They want me to be less than I am. They don't value me. But what if I can't find someone better? Friends, insecurity is a sneaky bastard that can seep into your consciousness and really take root, where it tries to pass off this nonsense as truth. If you think it can't happen to you, don't be so sure. It definitely can, even if you consider yourself to be a fairly confident person. Because when your confidence is questioned in some way, it is about as strong as one layer of tinfoil. It gets dinged very easily. It crumples. And if you have ever tried to smooth out tinfoil, well, first of all, you deserve a gold star sticker for patience, because forget that ish. But also, you will notice it never goes back to being nice and smooth like it was before. So, does this mean we can't ever fix these issues, that we can't be better and more confident and self-assured, which in turn helps us make better decisions? Of course not. We basically get a new day each day where we can make different choices. We can get up one day and decide that we are done, right? In fact, that's how it usually goes when we make monumental shifts in our lives sometimes, doesn't it? We decide one day we've had enough, and then we take action. So what if the first thing we decided was that we've had enough of insecurity? What if we take a step back and realize that whoever tried to define us or make us feel like we're too much or not enough or whatever, what if that person is wrong? What if we stopped listening to all of that? Well, shit. and started listening to something else, like our needs, our wants, our goals, our desires, and the things that you know in here and in here that you are actually capable of, which, believe me, you know a lot better than anyone on the outside. We can't possibly know what exactly would happen when we make that kind of commitment to ourselves, but one thing that we can be sure of is that when you put yourself in the driver's seat of your own life, you will start making better decisions for yourself. And in turn, you will be a lot less willing to settle. You will stop staying in situations where you aren't happy and you know you don't really belong because you know there's a better place for you and you've got to go find it. You'll stop staying in soul-sucking relationships or friendships where you give everything and you get nothing. You'll stop accepting people's mistreatment and disrespect regardless of who they are because you truly know that you deserve better. You'll stop settling for relationships that lack depth or real connection because you know you don't have to have someone at your side for the sake of just having someone. You'll stop making choices based on what's expected of you or what someone else wants, and you will start making choices that make you feel happy and fulfilled. You'll stop being afraid of being alone, which is, that fear makes us make bad decisions probably more than any other. And instead, you'll appreciate the incredible freedom that being alone can sometimes give you to reinvent yourself. I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. Settling often feels and looks like safety, but good enough for now comes with a heavy price tag sometimes, and a healthy side order of regret too. Insecurity always wants to hitch its wagon to this too, making that for now part last way longer than it should in so many cases. If there's anything that we can say we have learned in the last, 4-ish or so years, it's that the world as we know it can change in literally the blink of an eye. Eventually, we all run out of time to be happy and live our best lives. So if you feel like you're settling for something and you're in a situation where your needs are not being met, whether that situation be personal or otherwise, ask yourself some questions. Why are you doing it? Should be the first one. And how much longer are you willing to ignore that need? The answer to that question is probably not going to feel good. I mean, most of the time, self-examination of this type doesn't. But if you take away just one thing from this video, make it this. For now does not mean the same thing as forever. And as such, never ignore the truth or your true feelings for happiness that is just for now, that is temporary. Temporary things always need to be taken out or removed for something that's permanent. You don't want that permanent thing to be regret and sadness. You definitely deserve better than that. That's all I've got for you this week. I'll be back next week with another priority message. Until then, take good care of yourselves. Bye.